Very excited to talk some Louisiana Downs racing with racing ambassador Roxanne Tanner. For those of you who know, I've been covering Louisiana this year. Roxanne is my eyes, my ears, and like all of my help on track because I'm in California talking about the races at Louisiana. So anytime that there's important info, Roxanne will text me, will help me out, will always keep me updated. You're so great at posting scratches and changes every day. I said, we got to get you on to handicap. Let's just get you on here to talk some races. So how are you doing?
I'm good. And we got to get you over to Louisiana Downs next year, Gino. That's 2023 goal.
Absolutely. That's the plan. And I've even got stuff like formulating in my head, like next year, I'd love to do some like daily kind of preview shows that we could do maybe on YouTube where you could help me out and we could like preview the cards at night before the next day or like early in the morning. And those are things that we can even record a day or two ahead if we need. So the wheels are moving and they're spinning. We're gonna get in the next couple of years, Louisiana Downs and this racing product really, really good again, because this is a track that's had a lot of great history. And unfortunately, there were just a few years where racing wasn't given the type of maybe attention that it was needed. And now it feels like with Kevin and the new ownership there's all this excitement. And I really feel it myself from half the country away.
For sure. You know, we've been very fortunate to have a lot of loyal horsemen that have stuck with us. And we've had a couple of new ones join us. Good knocking Greg Tracy's had a breakout meet. And then Alan Milligan, although he's a little slow, he told me, he's like, I didn't bring the best stock, but I'm here trying to get my foot in the door. And so we have a lot of great horsemen. Renee Burrell came in with her husband, Calvin Burrell.
Yeah.
And I can only anticipate that next year is going to be even bigger and even better.
And as our track announcer, John McGarry, has been mentioning over the last couple of weeks, this is actually a really good time the last month or so at Louisiana because Evangeline just closed down their meet and Lone Star just recently closed up. So in the area, a lot of horses that may have been in those places will probably come over here and get a run or two in the next few weeks.
For sure. And we're very fortunate in that aspect. And we've got some of these guys, they'll probably be looking at Delta Downs book as the weeks progress. That being said, we still have our loyal and faithful, and they'll be the ones that probably progress down to fairgrounds. And so they know that they can get, you know, if they got a baby or a 2-year-old or some of these people that know that they will wait for Sam Houston, they'll stick around and stick it with us. So lots of full fields, though. I mean,
and I mean, the big day of the meet to talk about, I could not have been any better, like Louisiana Cup Day, as far as the huge fields. And we've had horses that ran well that day and that have come back and have gone to other tracks and continue to run well. So it's got to make everybody feel pretty good for kind of like the first big day with the new management, that it was a really good day on paper, weather cooperated, just a lot of positives.
I know. Thank goodness. Finally, weather cooperating. Who would have ever thought? And all the rain we've been getting. But yeah, it was a great day, a great turnout. You know, we had a lot of promising horses that, you know, found the winner circle, and they've already gone on and kind of done very well within the state and also out of the state. So we're very fortunate in that regard.
Well, we have some handicapping to discuss. We're going to talk about Saturday, and one of the really nice changes right away when the new ownership came in this meet, they said, hey, we want to be good to the bettors. We're going to lower the takeout. And they lowered the takeout in the pick 4 and the pick 5. They made those more traditional wagers, which is something that we were talking about too. And so now we have pick 4s that pay really, really well day in, day out. And I mention this whenever I post on social media. You and I were talking about, you know, Saratoga, and we like to play Saratoga. If you're a handicapper and a gambler and you are looking to play any races, the things that I'm looking for are multi-surfaces. I love turf and dirt, being able to go back and forth. Right. I'm looking for low takeout and for big fields. And we have all of those here at Louisiana. We really have good pick 4s and pick 5s. So I think for some of the people out there that may not have been paying attention, you can make your money here in these pick 4s and pick 5s. They check a lot of the boxes that gamblers are looking for.
Isn't that the truth? And we've got a lot of vulnerable favorites.
Yes.
there's no guarantees. And I've had to learn that lesson the hard way a couple times, but that's the one thing about Louisiana Downs, always expect the unexpected as far as people popping up and winning. So
Yeah.
that's always fun.
So let's talk about the racing this weekend. We are recording on Thursday. What's the weather like today as we're recording?
Looks like we might actually have some rain Saturday.
Okay. So we may
cost though, we have that Barksdale bubble where the Air Force Base is. It's been very diligent in helping us out on a couple race cards, but we'll see how things play out Saturday.
So as we talk now, we are going to talk like everything's normal. We'll talk about stuff like they are on the grass. We'll talk about stuff like it's on the dirt. And I'm going to pull up some of the past performances from my friends over at Daily Racing Form so we can kind of look at the races a little bit as we talk about them. So Roxanne, the first race that we're going to talk about on Saturday is race number 4. That's where the pick 4 starts. And that's another thing that I really like about our racing menu and the schedule. It's very consistent. We have 7 races every day. So, pick 6 in race 2, pick 5 in race 3, pick 4 in race 4, always never changes. Boom. Nice and easy.
Yeah.
And that's consistent. So we can always start, if you're a pick 4 and pick 5 player, that races 3 and 4 are where you really want to start for your big exotic wagers. Let's talk about this 4th race that kicks off the pick 4. And we have a 15% low takeout in the pick 4, which is really nice. So what are some of the things overall that are important to you when you're handicapping? What are things that you're kind of looking for, or that you weigh heavily when you're handicapping races?
Well, I'm one of those. I'm a firm believer in looking at horses. I mean, I like to watch prior races. I am also a big believer that once a horse turns a certain age, like just throw out their pedigree a little bit, because they've already got their running form in place. Like they know how they want to run. Like there's no change needed at this point in time. As much as some trainers do try to do so, but it's one of those scenarios where it's just, I like certain angles. I'm a big believer in first-time Lasix. I like seeing first-time geldings on certain horses that I know have just been naughty. And also,
you've done a good job of just sort of, hey, I saw this horse in the paddock. They kind of caught my eye. Like this horse has a little bounce in their step, or maybe they just like a big appearance compared to everyone else. I love getting those little tidbits from you.
For sure. And my dad was a horseman. And so that was one aspect. He always taught me handicapping races. Is he's a big, and you'll see him at Oaklawn. If you ever get to go to Oaklawn and you meet my dad, Pat Tanner, he is always down on the rail watching horses walk up. He's also down at the paddock looking at horses. And he's one of those that he doesn't do a multi-race wager. Very rarely will you see him, maybe a double here and there, but he's a firm believer in going and looking at horses before he plays them.
This pick 4 that we have today to talk about is tough too. The 2 turf races are really deep and competitive. And right off the bat, we kick things off with a field of 9. So a big field right away to get things started. Who were a couple of the horses that you looked at in here, or that you maybe would want to have on your pick 4?
Well, already, the one horse, 2C.
Can anybody push him?
So,
her, right? She looks like she's on paper at least going to be on the lead early and maybe able to clear, right?
For sure. You've got a couple of the horses in the race that, obviously have shown their best running style. The 2 right out to the outside of 2C, right next to. She's obviously a closer. We've got a couple others in the race that also appreciate, a hot pace up front. So I think it'll be, 2C's kind of, as long as good old Vincent Daydale Sid, Bug Boy, who's having a really good summer, actually was top jock down at Evangeline and has had a really good connection with Broberg here at Louisiana Downs. It'll be his race to lose, I think.
Yeah, I think the inside speed here from Tuesday is also going to be really tough. One horse that is kind of a fun horse to mention that I did a little digging with. And if we're looking at the DRF past performances, if you ever need help handicapping the races, you can head to DRF and pull these up. I like to look at the formulator ones because then you can click on the race, you can click on the chart, you can click on the trainer and get their stats. The 9 'Tis My Plan is just a little interesting because his last race, her last race, she was just in a little bit too tough. And if you can put a line through that one and say that maybe that level was just a little too much for her, her race on July the 11th, where she was beaten only 2 lengths and she was right behind Backgate Bell, that wasn't that bad. when she broke her maiden here, she sat a really nice trip. She wasn't too far off the pace. I'm kind of looking at the June and July races and hoping if she can get back to something like that, maybe she can give a little value in here. So I'm going to try to use her with the 1-2Z. Those will be the two I think I build most around in here, Roxanne. The 8 is kind of fun, but she's like a stone cold closer.
Yeah.
She just drops back and makes a big run. But she lost to a horse named Palmaz Amos, who came back again and run just the other day. So that's a positive there. And then I think at least worth mentioning the 4 Beyond the Hype, another one who's dropping in class. Milan Son trains this one, and Jose Guerrero. He's always going to be one of the top riders. He's so good.
Very aggressive rider when he wants to be.
Yeah.
But no, I think this Donald Melanson horse, filly, I should say, not this time. We all know what a breakout. A lot of promise as 2-year-olds. I think his second, well, this is his, I guess, second season here. First season crop. Anyways, I just think hasn't really displayed all that fancy, but they claimed this horse for $5,000. They bumped it up to $17,500, trying to see what kind of horse they had built with it, or see what this horse could do. It was race taken off the turf, and now they're back going a mile on the 16th and back at a tag where she's shown some competitiveness. So we'll see how that.
I think I kind of feel the same way that I can sense that you are with her. Like, she's fine. Like, she wouldn't shock me. She's fine. I just kind of like the others a little bit more. They're maybe a little bit more intriguing at maybe a little better of a price.
For sure. Completely agreed. And one thing about the races that are on this card, especially in the late pick 4, they're all wide open.
Yeah, they really are. So you're going to need at least 1 or 2 of these races where you're going to feel like you have to spread out a bit and use maybe 4 or 5. Like the 5th race that we turn the page to next. I love the 2-year-old races. They're so fun. And we have had some awesome 2-year-old races at the meet so far. And this one's even cooler because it's on the turf. But in any of these 2-year-old races, if there's a Jean San horse running, you got to have to start there because they have had so far this meet 10 first-time starters. They've won with 4. They finished second in another, and they've had 3 thirds. And in one of the races, they ran against each other. So they could only possibly won 9.
Jade, which is Justin's significant other, and also I say the head commander of the barn, she's done a really tremendous job helping pick out horses at the sale and has a great eye. And I appreciate that about Jade. And Justin's kind of, he's the man behind the barn himself too, but I don't think he could do it without Jade because I think she's definitely pretty legit. And so
she's awesome. She's another, like, she sends me little clips of horses or like little tidbits of their babies and like, this is what we expect from this one and this, and she's just sharp and she cares. Like, I was lucky enough to have her on for an interview a few weeks ago. She cares so much about horses at every level, at top to bottom. Just, she is a lover of animals and she just wants the best for all horses, and she's got a great eye too. I'm glad you mentioned her. And I mean, they've got 2 runners in here. Prince Cosmo, who has experience, and he had a tough start in his debut. He missed the break, but he moved into contention. He still finished 3rd, but it was not a great start. He got pushed in and bumped around. And they also have another one in here, Runaway Candy, who's a first-time starter. Would you be thinking about using them?
Oh, for sure. I mean, everybody's going to look at Prince Cosmo, especially with the stats. Justin's popping up on baby races.
Yep.
And you can't knock. I mean, the horse has done well since exiting that race. It's a little 5/8 breeze on a sloppy track. Doesn't say much, but it's a gate breeze, which is always good to say, that Justin saw what happened in the last race and said, hey, why don't we go to the gate one more time, give him, a little more experience there. And I think that's only going to help. And then the other one, I mean, definitely some okay works in the morning, nothing like standing out on paper. So that one's kind of a question mark, but we'll see, that's what this is about.
And what's kind of a little sneaky about the bigger price is that, that's the one that Lozada is on, our leading rider. So, he's the one that's on like a double-digit price horse for them, which is always a little sneaky because, wow, he's so good. He's such a good rider at just always putting horses in the right spot. I've been so impressed with him.
I mean, you'll see him in the paddock. He's always the last one to walk over to, his horse's stall, which is so funny, but he's always smiling. You could be like, Carlos, oh my goodness, it's raining. He just smile and say, oh, well,
Make the best of it.
Cool. Pretty chill.
Well, he's made the best out of a lot of situations there. The Johnson horses will definitely be very tough. The one that is, that has a turf pedigree that I'm going to use because of that is the 9, Henny's Turn. And Joe Foster is like, he's always going to be one of the top trainers at this meet, but he's had like a quiet under the radar last 2 months. He's been winning at 25% for 2 straight months now. He's won with 13 of his last 52 runners at Louisiana. And it's just kind of been quiet because Shane Wilson was so hot to start that Joe was a little more under the radar, but wow, he's been consistent. And this gelding is a 2-year-old. His dam was named Carolina Sky. She won 5 times on the turf. She was a 3-time stakes winner. And I know sometimes this kind of thing doesn't matter, but I kind of like it. She actually won 4 times on the Louisiana turf. She was 4 for 4 at Louisiana Downs on the turf. She's actually produced 2 siblings that have won on the turf and another one that didn't win, but was 0 for 6. And 5 of those races were in the top 3 on the turf. So I have a feeling that this guy might be just ready to take a step forward on the grass. And Joe is someone that we've talked about. Like, he is so great. He is so nice and just like fun personality and such an old school horseman.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Mr. Joey's one of the best. Him and his wife, Cheryl. Actually, Joey used to gallop for my dad back in the day.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So he always has some fun stories, and I'll have to ask my dad, and he's like, you're not supposed to know that. You know how that goes. But the one thing, I mean, if you watch this horse's last race, he gallops out very nicely. And that's one thing I like to see when a horse gallops out past the field. That the jock might have kind of left something in the tank, wanted to get something out of it. And he didn't have the easiest of trips in that race.
He was kind of wide, and the winner just got the lead and went on. So there wasn't a whole lot of passing. I think there's a little upside with the grass there too, and just how good Joe's been with the young horses at the meet. Let's see.
One here actually since I want to say like February or March. So this horse is no stranger to Louisiana Downs and just getting prepped and ready. That's the one thing about Mr. Joey is he does try to get a good bearing underneath him before he, gets him to the races, but respectfully so knows when they're ready to go.
Yeah, nice foundation there. Just a tough field of 11 2-year-olds on the turf. The 5, I guess, might be another one where what's nice about Clint Boy Eastwood, he has some experience and he's actually been on, he's not been on the turf, but we can pull up here as I show on the DRF past performances. What's nice is when you go to click on Clint Boy Eastwood's dam, you can see that the dam was a 3-time winner on the turf. So I always look as a positive when, there's been turf success for some of the family. So I wouldn't be a surprise to see maybe Clint Boy Eastwood enjoy the grass. I think he was, there weren't any other turf siblings that were direct winners, but at least the dam was a winner. So was there anyone else in here that you thought worth mentioning or worth using?
I am going to point out number 4, G's Law.
Yep.
I saw him schooling in the paddock here a couple weeks ago, and he caught my eye. He's adding blinkers to start.
It's a nice little pedigree too.
Yeah. And so I don't want to throw him out completely. Another one of those that has a breeze going into the gate from the gate, which, like I said, I always think that's a good thing when you're going into a race, especially with a baby. I like the gate works. A lot of trainers do. They don't exactly put that schooling into them, and I kind of appreciate it because they want them ready to go. So.
And G's Law also has a sibling that won on the turf, and the blinkers come on. So little change there to maybe get a little more focused. You mentioned the gate work, so we may see a whole different horse here coming out of the gate this time. It just that the experience from start 1 to start 2 can be like night and day. And we keep mentioning Vicente Del Cid and how good he's been. I think he's going to be one of the finalists for the Eclipse Award for Apprentice. And based on the numbers that he's put in, he's got to be right there towards the top. He's just been so good.
Oh, I mean, he's a good kid. Doesn't speak much in English. but he's great. He's very listens to, whatever the trainer has instruction wise, and he seems to follow it to a T. So that's the one good thing about young kids like that. They know how to learn, they know what they need to learn. And he's really done a good job. And, Carl, he picks out these jocks, and
he sticks with them. Yeah, he's very loyal to them. He lets them kind of, hey, you're going to make a mistake here or there, but we're going to give you the chance to ride all of our good horses for a while.
And I mean, Vincente is really, between back and forth between Evangeline and here, he's really put in, a lot of good time and has done very well going back and forth. And like I said earlier, he was the top jock at Evangeline. That's no easy task when you've got Tim Thornton, Tracy Hebert, some names down there that everybody knows. So we'll see what he ends up doing with this race.
And yeah, as we had said when we talked about this before, starting the pick four analysis, 3, 4, 5, 8, 9, those are all horses that, people are probably going to want to be using in combinations here and still maybe not even feel all that confident having 4 or 5. So a really tough sequence. Fingers crossed that we can not have too much bad weather the next couple of days and we can keep that one on the turf. Let's move to the 6th race, Roxanne. We have Louisiana bred maidens here, 3-year-olds and up. So this is a maiden special weight race for the Louisiana breds. Who are some of the horses that are on your radar in this one?
Well, I keep talking about Gateworks, and the one question mark I have, and I love Andrew Cassio. He's one of the best guys. Horseman, just all around good. Hey, Roxanne, always makes it a point to say hi. But now Saint intrigues me. First time starter. He's actually shown some really legitimate works in the morning. They've taken their time getting him to the races. And so this horse definitely intrigues me just with his morning presence alone.
So I think he's obviously very, very live from what he's shown us in the mornings. The horse right next door. I think he's kind of interesting too. Little Wody. I dug into this pedigree a little bit. And again, what's cool is that when we have these past performances on DRF, when you're looking at the formulator ones, you can just take one click to the dam and then dive into the pedigree. So when you look at Amanda Michelle, who was the mother of Little Wody, she was pretty nice. She won her career debut at Fairgrounds by 8 lengths. And she was a 3-time winner. She actually was she actually finished second in the Louisiana Cup Filly and Mare Sprint right here at Louisiana back in 2013. So she was actually pretty nice, and she had the ability to win early. And when you look at the only other foal that she's produced, it's a multiple winner named Here We Come to Get You. So this is not a bad pedigree for a barn now that we can dive into, Roxanne. And I like big sample size and small sample size. And when you look at Denise Schmidt, over the last 5 years, this is a barn that you can go, hey, days between starts, and you can click first-time starters. And now we see how this barn has done with their first-time starters over the last 5 years, which is the database that DRF has. Well, only 3 for 25, which it's not bad, 12%. But look at those 3. They've been 3 out of the last 6. So whatever it is, they've definitely improved a whole heck of a lot in the last couple of years with their first-time starters. The last 6 of them they sent out have all performed pretty well. 3 of them have won. So I think she's like anything. We all learn sometimes, right? We figure things out. We make some adjustments. I don't handicap the same way I did 10 years ago. I look at things a little differently. I try to add to it. And when I see that, I think that maybe he's worth throwing in. So I'll probably include Little Wody on the ticket too. And Denise Schmidt, she's had a really, really nice meet.
And one thing people don't know about Denise is actually she's out there ponying every single race.
Oh, that's great.
She's out there on the paint pony. Her partner in crime, we call him Deadeye. And honestly, I don't even know what Deadeye's real name is. Calls him Deadeye. But he's the one that a lot of people see saddling the horses, but they're a great team. Erica Murray, one of the jogs that's been in our jogs room here early in the meet, she actually gallops for them every morning, breezes a lot of their stock. And she's done really good getting horses ready with Denise and whatnot. And so Denise is just a great all-around horseman. She goes down to fairgrounds after we end here, and she's a sweet lady. So it wouldn't be uncommon for her to pop up all with those stats you just mentioned. So we'll see what ends up going on there.
And they'll probably all have to worry about the horse, I think, to the outside pitch and run of the horses with experience. Kind of feels like he has a couple pretty good races. King of Broken Hearts is really nice. Who beat him? Look at the speed figures that King of Broken Hearts has earned in his last couple. He earned a 91 buyer when he won, and then he lost the other day to a class dropper, a big class dropper, and he still came back and earned a really nice like 82 buyer in doing so. So that just kind of shows you how strong the races that pitch and run are coming out of. Osceola was running here on Louisiana Cup Day.
Yeah.
So he's probably the horse they'll have to beat.
He will. And I mean, once again, we got Carlos Lozada in the saddle.
Yep.
So it's hard to overlook this horse. And I mean, that's the one thing about these races, though, is with these first-time starters, they're starting them short, which I do appreciate. And we'll probably see a lot of them gunning for the lead. And this horse, the 11 pitch and runs, has shown he's a stalker ability. He just hasn't found that extra, little oomph down the stretch to get up in front.
And he kind of had that. He had a good start and he was inside, but what ends up happening when you're having like a bad luck for racing, you have the horse that's always sitting right behind the leaders and that can't get through at the top of the lane. And that's sort of where pitch and run was last time out. It was like, if it opens up, he's going to have a great shot, but it didn't really open until it was too late. And then by the time he got a little room, he was a little bit flat, but you're right. He should be able to sit nicely. And with that outside draw, Carlos can probably have him sit in like third or fourth and maybe just kind of keep him in the clear. And if he's good enough, he should have every chance in here.
For sure.
But again, like another field of 11 in the pick four.
I mean,
huge.
This were, on a day that we had to cancel due to poor weather. And so we brought them back and whatnot. And Matt Crawford, our racing secretary, thought it was funny. He's like, some of these races, we only had maybe 8 or 9 in, and now they're,
they're way better.
With additions there. And so that's the one thing about, us having to cancel, and then Evangeline, being over, we've been able to fill races a little bit easier and more so than what they were initially.
And Matt has done a fantastic job of stacking the difficult races towards the end of the card, like the better betting races for the pick four and deeper in, because every race track and every card are going to have some short fields. It's inevitable. Sometimes the races that you draw, they just don't come up all that deep, or there's one horse that kind of is a standout. And he tries to keep those races earlier in the card, so they're not in the pick fours and pick fives quite as much. And it leads us to a sequence like this where, man, maybe some people will look to the 11 in race 6, but that's an 11. That's not like in a field of 5 where you're singling a favorite.
So, I mean, Matt's done a really tremendous job knowing what we have horse population wide on the backside. He knows, Evangeline. We've had a lot of trainers, show a lot of interest in coming up here, and he's been on the phone consistently, as well as his awesome racing office staff, hustling horses, getting horses where they need to be in the right races. And we have, just a tremendous crew that back our racing office and whatnot. So Matt's done a fabulous job with that.
Well, let's finish up with race number 7. It's like, you and I talk a lot. I was like, can you give me like 15 minutes or so? And we're already at like 30, like going up. But I never like to cut things short, because I always like to have fun and be comfortable and get all the good information out. So thank you for hanging out with me. So let's finish up, Roxanne. And we finish up with a turf race where, no joke, when I was making my lists of horses that I thought to use, I have 7 of them written down of this field.
It's not, you can go in and make a case for legitimately 80% of the field. It's
so tough. So from a gambling standpoint, some of the horses that'll probably take some money, you have a class dropper, Silver and Lie, who comes in and has been racing at Colonial. You see races at Churchill and Fairgrounds also. So they've just been facing tougher company. So it'll probably be a good spot for him on the class drop. And then after him, you have some other horses who have been running at levels just like this that have been very consistent, and that would make sense. I mean, the three Color Fast, the 5 Senator Khan, they come out of the same race last time out. Then you have Reluctant Warrior and Inca Warrior and Sidster. You kind of look at them all sort of like the same. There's a lot of these horses that are really evenly matched.
And this race is like crazy. I mean, you said it right. It's very evenly matched, and we'll have to see. There's only one horse, adding blinkers, and that's a 6. So we'll see if that ends up changing his style. But he's had them before, so it doesn't really change the game. Trainer tried something new first off the claim and didn't really suit him, I guess. So back the blinkers go.
Yeah, so this will probably be one of the spread out races of the pick 4 for me. The one horse that I for sure will have is Color Fast, who I thought his race, which is kind of cool. We can pull up his little replay too while we talk about Color Fast, and we can show you what happened. So in this race, he was also the 3 the last time he ran. And if you watch the race, he kind of has a slowish start here, and he doesn't really hit the hole. So he's towards the back, and then he kind of moves up on the inside, but he's just in some traffic always. You can even tell right here, there's horses in front of him, and then he goes down to the rail. And as he tries to go down to the rail, he's just not going to have a whole lot of room as horses cross over. And it wasn't the smoothest of trips, whereas Senator Khan was able to sit a little bit better of a trip. See, now the 3 kind of gets squeezed back. The 2 is in front of him, and now all of a sudden he loses some positioning, and he's behind a little bit. I love when Lozada is on a horse after he may have had like a little bit of trouble. Now look at the 3 here. He's live. He's got a ton of run. He's right behind the leaders. He just got nowhere to go. And he has to tap on the brakes again, and he has to back up and wait. It's sort of like any really good athlete, Roxanne. I think if they come off of a race where they maybe got in some trouble, or they come off of an at-bat where they think that maybe they should have gotten a hit, I feel like the next time they do a really good job of like not getting in trouble, or making sure that if they're going to lose, it's not because of that. So I think Carlos will probably have this horse a little more aggressive, and he's pretty fun. But I said after him, who are you like for sure wanting to use in this race?
Well, I honestly am on the same page with you as far as Color Fast goes. He's actually the one I have picked on top.
Nice.
And that being said, his trainer, Earl Myers, great guy, has very limited stock. I think maybe has 3 to 4 horses in his barn, if that many. His wife, Tammy, works in the silks. She's our silks lady at Louisiana Down. So they're great, fun people. But, everybody's going to be looking, as we all know, Silver and Lie. There's a reason why that horse is coming here, obviously. What that reason is, not 100% positive. We'll have to wait and see. But the 5 horse, Senator Khan Alfonso Balderas, this horse came out last time. I think he could be the one, depending on fractions and stuff. And, I mean, he was sitting off of it, came there about 3/4 into the race and took the lead and whatnot. And finished well. Love the fact that they've got Maria Baca back.
She has been so good, too. And she has such a great sense of, I'm on a speed horse. I'm going to go to the lead, or I'm going to sit second for a little bit. And then like what she did on Senator Khan, okay, they're not going very fast. Now I'm going to move to the lead, and I'm going to move early. She has a great clock in her head.
So Maria is actually Tim Thornton's sister. A lot of people don't know that, but they're very racing oriented. Maria's husband, Benny Baca, actually has ridden a number of quarter horses and has done really good this year, winning a couple of 870 races himself. And so they're definitely a racing family. I'm sure they go home and watch film every night as well with the kids. I mean,
and competitive, right? Like they're like critiquing each other's rides and stuff like that, like giving like brother and sister giving each other a hard time, I bet.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, she's got 2 little precious boys, Sailor and Bentley, and they're so in love with their mom. And whenever she wins, they always weigh out with her and whatnot. And so just a great family. And Maria is, I mean, she really listens. She takes everything, the horsemen say to her, and she kind of does a Maria thing to it. That's the one thing I do appreciate about it. A trainer might say, "Hey, Maria, this horse, he breaks from the gate a step slow," and she'll listen to that, but she knows, where she needs to position herself. And she might not always follow that to a T with the horse. I mean, she pops one out of the gate one time. The trainer looked at me. He's like, "I did not expect that."
But when you catch a flyer like that, right? She's experienced enough to like you can trust her to make an audible if she has to. If she senses that, you know what, right now the rail is the place to be, or the lead is the place to be, or maybe I want to take back. You trust her experience, and that's what's great. Like, the trainers know that, hey, we'll give you some advice on how this particular horse is, but if she knows that, hey, I might have to do this to win a race, she'll do it.
For sure. And that's the one thing I do appreciate about Maria. And I'm sure people in this race are also going to take a look once again at Carl Broberg's horse, Inca Warrior.
Yep.
That horse, I mean, just seems like he's very inconsistent. The horse he ran 6-2 last out, we all know very well, is super.
Yeah.
Mr. Phil Cleek.
Yeah. So I agree. Inca Warrior could win. I'm not quite as high on him as a couple of the others in here. I like a little bit better, and some of their recent form better. And this pick 4 is going to be so cool. I will give additional information, and I'll have the pick 4 ticket all kind of mapped out for everybody on Saturday when they want to come and hang out on the broadcast and watch along. So, Roxanne, this can be the audition tape that we show Kevin and say, "Hey, Kevin, look, we're going to do this next year each day as like a racing preview. We can go through the races a little bit and get everybody set up online." So
he's all about that world. He's all
We'll put the pressure on Boss there. I had a blast talking with him too. He was so great, and he's just so, like, when you talk to people who are the executives or like the heads of big companies and big industries, sometimes they're stuffy people, or they're people that you can't really talk to, or he's so the opposite of that. Like, he's such a cool, real, down-to-earth person that you can have an honest conversation with. It was so refreshing.
I will tell you, the way I got my job was I literally sent him a message on Twitter. He sent me an address, and I sent him a resume, and the rest is history. So he's one of those that, he's willing to take that gamble, that risk. He's learning a lot about horse racing. And the thing about it, though, is he's so just passionate about everything he does. And I don't think he gets enough respect in that regard. But he wants everything to, be good. He wants, he's taken on a lot this year with the new ownership and whatnot of the racetrack, and he's done a tremendous job. He has his ears open, his eyes listening to everybody, and just trying to make sure everything's like going well.
Everyone just has positive things to say about him, and the energy and the excitement moving forward. This is someone who really, like you said, whatever he's been involved in, he's been successful with.
Mm-hmm.
Like, all of the stuff that he puts his hands in. So he knows what he's doing in all places, and he's just a really smart guy. So I look forward to working with him and with you much more in the coming days, weeks, months, and years. I can't thank you enough again. Like, you helped me out so much. You are one of the main people that I interact with over at Louisiana all the time. So you've been so helpful, and thank you so much for giving some more of your time today to handicap the races with us.
Well, I appreciate you, Gino. You've done a great job promoting Louisiana Downs and getting our name back out and about with the people. So you've done a tremendous job yourself. So pat yourself on the back. We appreciate you greatly.
Well, we're going to get you on to talk more handicapping. Maybe we have you back one more time before the end of the meet. And then next year, we're going to start in the works. We're going to work on something where we have it more consistent. Maybe it's every day, a couple times a week, whatever it is. I think we could do something fun on YouTube and really start promoting Louisiana even more with some recaps of big days and previews of others. So, Roxanne, tell everyone where we can follow you on social media, because you do a great job of posting scratches, changes, alerts, any good information for Louisiana, and then some other fun stuff that's going on, other fun tidbits, other silly stuff here and there.
Twitter, Ambassador Roxy, ROXY. That's my handle, if you will. You can follow me there. we do a really big job on our Facebook page talking about, whatever's going on. So you can look at our Louisiana Downs
Cool.
Casino and Racetrack, where we post weekly videos with some of the people at the races. So we got lots of opportunities. Follow along and hopefully get all the info you need.
Thank you so much. It was a blast talking Saturday racing with you. Make sure everyone to go follow Roxanne and to come check out the racing. We still have, I think we only have like 16 days left, right? 4 weeks of 4 days of racing.
Never thought we'd make it.
Wow. Yeah. So we have coming up Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday for the next 4 weeks, all throughout September. And we have lots of great wagering opportunities. If you were following along with us, huge fields in this pick 4 on Saturday. So a really fun sequence. Thank you so much, Roxanne. I'm going to talk soon with you and have a great rest of your day.
You too. Bye, Gino.
Folks, thank you so much for hanging out with us. And let's play some Louisiana Downs.